Assalamualaikum students, this video is regarding this essay that is from March 2023 exam paper variant 4.2 question 5. It's a macro question. Assess the impact of globalization on the living standards in low income countries. Kindly take the screenshots because most of this essay this essay is about writing good arguments and good points, and it does not have any diagram actually. First paragraph is the features of low-income countries. I will urge students to prepare these features of low-income countries very carefully because there are many exam paper questions in paper 4 have been set in the context of low-income countries. The second paragraph is the definition of globalization. Globalization is basically growing interdependence of different countries, and that is because of unrestricted flow of goods and services, finances and investments, workers and ideas from one country to another. Now, globalization means people travel easily from one country to another. They invest in the investments are also in more than one country. The finances can easily be moved from one place to another, and of course, there is unrestricted movement of goods and services as well. If we go and visit a coffee shop in Y Block DHA, and you visit a coffee shop in Singapore, probably you will see the same type of music is being played in the coffee shop, and the girls and boys hanging out there are wearing the same sort of clothes, and maybe they are sharing the same, maybe they have same football player as heroes, and so this is the power of globalization. They watch the same movies, they listen to the same kind of music, whether they are living in Nigeria or they're living in USA or they're living in Iran. So they have same likes and same heroes and their same ideas, like ideas regarding feminism, ideas regarding women's rights. They are again global ideas, and we cannot really attribute them only to one part of the world. So that is the globalization power, movement of ideas. So there are cultural and social ties, etc. So the third paragraph tells that that the main argument or the main feature of globalization is free trade. So what does free trade do for low-income countries? The free trade benefits low-income countries because on one hand they have greater global market access. Now that is one of the benefits of free trade to the producers, and of course they have an opportunity to raise their export revenues. And on the other hand, they can import technology and they can import essential raw materials, and that of course give them an edge that they can produce goods at an effectively lower cost. There is a benefit for consumers as well who are living in low-income countries, and the benefit is greater variety of goods and greater freedom to choose. They can benefit from goods which are made in more developed countries, and they can have access to those goods. So, removal of restriction on movement of finances and capital will also benefit low-income countries, as these countries are usually endowed with an abundance of natural resources, like in Pakistan, Recordec, which has huge reserves of copper and gold as per initial feasibilities. As per current prices, their reserves of copper and gold are probably more than $1,200 billion, and those reserves Pakistan does not have the technology. Pakistan is a low-income country, does not have the technology and expertise to take advantage of those precious reserves. So, when there is an unrestricted movement of finances and capital because of globalization, Pakistan can attract these investments, and they can have access to more modern technology and global expertise, and which can help low-income countries to benefit from these precious natural resources. These global investments will create benefits such as jobs for the locals. They will pay taxes to the government, and those taxes can be spent on the welfare of people for provision of education and health, and that will of course help raise economic growth, and that will all lead to improved living standards. So what is happening? On one hand, those producers are benefiting from low-income countries. They have access to modern technology, they have access to foreign markets, they can import raw materials, and consumers have more variety of goods. And on the other hand, low-income countries can attract foreign investments and technology and expertise, and that can help them exploit their natural resources, and that can help create jobs, generate taxes for the government, and governments can spend those taxes for the welfare of people. So all this is going to benefit low-income countries. Another benefit of free trade, globalization, is free movement of people across international borders. So people from low-income countries can migrate, can emigrate to developed countries for better incomes, for better education opportunities, for better health facilities, and of course, they will not only send remittances to their families, native countries, and that in Pakistan we receive foreign remittances of around $30 billion a year, which is almost equivalent to our export revenue and is a major contribution in Pakistan's economic growth, these remittances of overseas workers. And of course, these workers, if they come back to Pakistan, they do bring more skills and expertise. So they do not only bring, or they are not only an important source of finance, they are an important source of skills and expertise as well, in case they decide to come to Pakistan. India is benefiting a lot from the return of their expatriate Indians, NRIs, they call them non-resident Indians. They're coming back to India and they're bringing in expertise and they're bringing in their skills and they are contributing to the phenomenal economic growth of India. However, there are challenges as well. Now, what are the challenges? Low-income countries have usually poor industrial base. As I've already been telling you in different videos, that exports are a function of a country's production ability. If you can produce more, you can export more. If you can produce less, you can export less. Now, low-income countries have poor industrial base, their productivity is low, and they mostly rely on low value-added primary goods. So when free trade happens, what happens? Their exports are very low, but their imports are very high, and that leads to a huge trade deficit, and that results in rapid depletion of already thin foreign currency reserves and rising external debt. Now, when loans rise, the future governments, the governments of low-income countries are forced to allocate more funds to the repayment of loan, and of course, they will have less funds for spending on welfare of people, and that's why in coming years, in future years, the living standards of people living in low-income countries will suffer. The next paragraph. The investments come in, of course, they are very helpful, they create jobs and they create wealth. However, they speed up the process of resource depletion and they cause several types of external costs. And that will again pollution, noise pollution, air pollution, and of course, this will have an adverse effect on the living standards. These foreign investments, instead of reinvesting their profits in low-income countries, they send back their profits to their home countries, and that will mean that their participation, their contribution to the economic growth will decrease. For more technical and complex jobs, FDIs usually bring in their own workers, and there will be less job opportunities for native for the citizens of the native country, for the local labor, for the indigenous local labor. There will be less opportunities, even if there are opportunities for jobs for local workers. Those jobs will be in less technical, less complex areas, less managerial roles, and their income will not be substantial, and there may not be a substantial, significant improvement in living standards. There could be brain drain, because when there is globalization and when there is free movement of people across borders, people with skills will probably emigrate to other countries, and there could be a brain drain. These workers may never come back and may never contribute to the economic growth of low-income countries, and living standards may remain low, even in the long run. The relationship between globalization, economic growth, and living standards is quite unclear. Maybe globalization creates jobs, but there could be rising trade imbalance, and which may there are opportunities, but there is rising trade imbalance, and this may hamper living standards. Low-income countries are often poorly governed, and even though they get additional tax revenues because of globalization, those tax revenues may be wasted and may not be spent on the welfare of people. And of course, the activities of multinational companies and other foreign investments may also cause rapid depletion of resources, resulting in an unsustainable growth, and that may lead to pollution, and that may lead to lower life expectation, etc. It is very important that living standards are broadly defined, and they are not only measured by the ability of country to make money, even though there are globalization is giving you money, but if people are not having access to health education, they are not having a fair share of that higher incomes are not distributed fairly. In that case, living standard may not improve. So living standards are not just an increase in per capita income. Living standard requires improvement. Living standard requires improvement in key indicators such as reduced income inequality, improved life expectation, and improved education and housing. So we need to look at these areas before we can conclude that globalization is going to surely improve the living standards. This concludes my discussion on this essay. Thank you very much. If you found our video useful, do share it with others who may be interested, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.